Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. I am Calypso, and welcome to another episode of Deadhaus Whispers. It's been quite a while, like usual now, for these with our little episode breaks, but I'm always joined by my other host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome. Been
How you
busy. It's been a little bit busy. Maybe these might be a little bit more frequent outside of our control and premise going forward as things will be happening. Lucky, fingers crossed, all going well. Shout out to the ones who will end up coming in and watching this after the fact. Hi, Dennis. Hi, George.
Yep. Hey, Dennis. Hey, George.
Watching.
We're going to praise you this episode again, like usual.
I just want to say, just to preface this on everyone that's joining in and all, something happened with Deadhaus with this latest episode. And we've been all trying to put our finger on what exactly it is. But it seems to have got more grand, more epic. It seems like it has become a bigger thing now. And we're still trying to work with it. Now, we're going with it because it's class. But it seems that the story has matured and gotten serious. It's something wild. I don't know. It's just something I felt. Serious. It's something I felt as we've gone through this, and I found it really wild and really interesting. So it's like, hats off to all the cast. Particular shout out in this episode to George Ledoux and Joey Sorlis and Felipe, Jack, Dennis, everyone involved, because this episode has been quite a piece of work. Like it's definitely there. Hats off to everyone involved. So, Calypso, what did you think of this episode?
I liked it like usual. We were in the after party chat for this episode before I lost connection with everybody. My stuff was just being weird that day. But I heard Dennis mention something, I think, of deliberate callbacks or Easter eggs in this on purpose. Maybe. And personally, I got a huge Hellraiser vibe later on in the episode. We'll get to it, of course. But I got huge Hellraiser vibes. I know that Dennis is a huge fan of Hellraiser, but I also got a very big Blood Omen. Towards the end of it, you enter the church and you go through a heaven and hell dimension. That I felt that for this episode when we're in the ethereal sea, I believe, is what it's called. The etheric sea. Yeah. Totally
Magic
got that, like,
without aspect.
Yeah, I got that whole, I don't know, just reminding me a lot of that Blood Omen level for just something. There's a feeling there, you know what I mean? But I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought the voice acting was great. Once again, yes, we get great performances by George and Joey. Yeah, great. Good stuff. And the mind trip, the absolute mind trip that is this episode. Towards the end, like there's a setup, a payoff, like a setup, a journey, and then a payoff for all these things. You know, they all sort of follow a typical 3-act structure in the short time span that they can. But when they do, they nail it. And I was really stoned last night when I was re-listening to this. And apart from it being just totally wild in that state listening to this, the ending is just a total mind trip anyway. So it's like perfect harmony of just,
before we even get to that part of the ending, I'm just like, everyone's like, wow, that was great. It's like, that's not over. That's not over. This is like
just part one, baby.
He's still there. There's more to this. There's the second half of this episode, so to speak, which is coming in the next one, and it's going to get wild. It's going to get wild, as you can imagine. But we'll start at the beginning. Greetings, Bishop.
Hey,
greetings,
Bishop.
Mortis. Greetings,
hey,
Lily.
Mortis.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Hey.
I need to pull the chat up here so I have it live here, just to say everything like that. Yes. And we'll just jump into this, right? So let me put this off to the side, and we'll get this in. And I'm going to get this up on full screen so that it's not very distracting, or not as distracting. And we shall pull this in from the side. Way, Mike knows how to do his job. Woo!
Yes, it's paying off. It's paying off.
Make sure I've got the closed captions on. And
I can hear it on my end. I can just hear that.
Need to kill the volume. Don't want YouTube getting me.
Okay. Oh, that's true. So yes, we start off with Califax. I love
this. Here's something I wanted to bring up, because Bishop mentioned something to me in the after party, and people brought it up, right? And I was like, that can't be right. Someone's made a mistake. They're like, oh, but he's been fallen. It's been 4 days. And I thought, no, it was 4 days from the start of the previous episode.
Yes, it was.
We don't know how long they were how long he took to get back to Amarax.
Was it Pruin? It was Pruin, right?
He was going. It was 4 days apparently, as the guy's doing the calendar, because that's a lot to keep track of. That's what Varric's for. But we have it where he has to make his way back to Amarax, and then they go to the tree, and then they come back and they perform a ritual, and then he falls through the hole. That's a very summarized thing, but over that would have taken the 4 days apparently, because this is literally picking up the second it left off. He's writing these after the fact and putting the dates in.
Yeah.
So
did he get the dates wrong? Or
no,
is it just
the dates aren't. The dates are not. Was it the Gambit was 11 days after, and
Pruin, the month of frost, 11 days, 221 years after. After what? Califact, the thaw, 15th day, 221 years AD.
Oh, okay. Really?
Time's different everywhere. Time's different for the dead, and also this next episode's going to be confusing because they're technically not on. We're not on Malorum anymore.
Yeah.
So like time's going to be messy. Because in the etheric sea, does that mean time is slower, faster? Who knows? And they're dead, so it's not like it's relevant.
In time.
Just wanted to clear that up, because I was like, he couldn't have been fallen for 4 days, or could he?
And I like I think it might have been Bishop too who pointed this out, or I'm just gonna go ahead and say Bishop. That progressively, I want to say from the mound onward, Alaric stops caring about essentially the after Deadhaus thing. In every episode, it's always after Deadhaus, before
we get abbreviated now to AD.
Yeah, now we're just AD because he's like, fuck it.
Because the dead, there's essentially just 2 time frames. There's before Deadhaus and after Deadhaus.
And after Deadhaus, yeah. Nice little detail there.
Yep. Because trust me, I know the lore master and Dennis, Jack, they're not going to mess this up. This is my confusion on this one. The Gambit, he didn't even mention Deadhaus at all. Yeah, at that point, he was sick and tired of it, right?
Yeah.
So let's continue.
Character progressions. So yes, we start with Califact, 15 days after. I love this little part because it's almost feels like a TV show where, previously on Deadhaus, only it's literally Alaric saying, the last time that I wrote was yada, yada, yada. Here's what happened.
When last I wrote, a hole had opened in Malorum, in reality itself, and I was swallowed by darkness.
It's great. It's just a great little
a hole had opened and I was swallowed by darkness, or so I thought. No sooner had I passed through the conflux that I'd noticed that I was falling towards a circular opening that held a substance I had seen before. This is a great photo, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I love all the little art pieces for this one as well. Controversial surfaces. So I have here in my notes, Alaric is falling down a dark hole. He notices the strange gray waters that he remembers when he opened up a waystone way back when for the Banshees, I believe.
The portal. The portal, yes. He describes it like water, but not water.
Yes. And he normally has no feeling of cold or heat, but he felt the cold of this water, like a preternatural cold.
Since snow give me no cold in death, I felt the strange chill of these waters seep into me just as I had in life. A preternatural cold.
Yeah, still felt the strange chills of this water.
Yes, there it is. A preternatural cold. Yeah. It's great. Then all sense of orientation and movement was lost for when the strange waters of the waystone hung in thin curtains that could be traversed in a single step. Thin curtains traversed in a single step is what I wrote. He notices 2 planes. There is an upper and a lower. And then I was kind of
fast forward to that because I love that.
We'll fast forward that. There we go. Yeah, I love that. There's an upper and a lower plane, a vapor spread in all directions, another below flowing in like I said the opposite direction, but I guess it was just
No,
whiffs
in
and
opposite directions, as in top and
is it?
bottom, like is in
Oh, okay,
opposite one
yeah.
another.
I like how Alaric screams and he sort of brings attention that he notices that he screams and just what the heck is going on. And then of course Amarak chimes in and like, calm down, bro. Calm down, dude.
Some of the use of language in this is fantastic because you can see that Amarax is starting to get sick of Alaric's crap.
Mm-hmm.
We are adrift in the etheric sea.
Yeah.
Ether, the etheric sea.
That's so cool, man. The etheric sea, the firmament between realms. So it's like limbo. Is it limbo essentially?
No, it's the gaps in the wall. It is the space between spaces.
Okay.
It is the part between different universes, different worlds. It is the nothing that binds the universe together.
So Deadhaus Backrooms, got it.
Oh, beyond Backrooms.
Oh yeah, way beyond Backrooms. Is be grateful for that, or magic without aspect.
Yep.
Another that's a cool thing about the
unbounded and pure.
There we go.
That's the best way to describe it. Unbounded and pure. Because there's no like I think it's going to cause confusion, but I believe until people are playing the game and getting a full idea of this, it's not going to make much sense unless you've read a lot of Lovecraftian stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm totally sure. Dennis recommended books and I started reading them. So why the hell not? Perceiving an intangible medium that filled. So the temporal between realms. Something I liked is that Amarax asked Alaric to retrieve the cage in the prism, which when he was falling, he dropped. And then he learns telekinesis. And I was like, oh, sweet. So just
like
typical...
the bishop say before, it's like he's still running the tutorial.
Yeah. 6 hours later.
The space in life of death, a place without physical forms or boundaries, ever flowing, an unbroken ring of horizon on all sides.
It's so wild. Streaks of energy arced between the upper and lower planes. Yeah, that's so awesome. Like spiritual storms or ascent or magical storms.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
There we go.
We are adrift in the etheric sea. The etheric sea is not a realm. It is the firmament between realms. Ideally, we would have entered through the waystones, but given that the Dark Light Enclave is watching, we had to improvise. Now, if you would be so kind as to retrieve the objects I entrusted to your care.
I love that there. Now, so can you grab me the cage with the thingy in it?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, pick it up.
And that's when Alaric starts learning the tutorial part.
Yes. So he learns. So he's done his telekinetic blasts in the past, and then he learns that he has telekinesis to grab objects. And this is just straight up a game mechanic. Like we've seen it in the other Legacy of Kain games, and like Blood Omen 2 when you pick up a weapon or Soul Reaver or whatever.
Bishop says there, if you imagine you're playing the game, it all feels like things you would be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He used basically the opposite of his blast, where I feel another blast coming on. It's like instead of shooting it out, you just...
Yes, telekinesis. A simple reversal of the blasts you so enjoy. Yeah. It's great.
I like the transitions, by the way, where it's like when you're talking back and forth instead just a simple go.
Yeah, the lightning.
The zip of lightning and all is fantastic.
But probably I said the best part besides the ending here is Alaric contemplates striking himself in the head mentally to hurt the Lich, and then we get a really cheeky
"It would not"
from Amarax. And then
you can't hurt him. He doesn't have a soul, or that's all he is a soul right now. He doesn't have a physical form, so you can't hurt a soul. Like that's like no. Well, not
we
that
should
way.
mention. I believe Amarax is still just a head strapped to Alaric, right?
No, he's a soul in his mind.
He's a
he's
soul
speaking
in
his mind.
That's right, because he's a phylactery. That's right.
That's right. We get to this later on. Oh, there we go. There's a storm on the horizon.
Yes, the
We
gray,
wonder how are they going to
translucent
get
gray
through
of the
this.
horizon. Is it drive
And then
slowly
here we
into
come.
view? Yes,
Here we
I
come.
love it, dude. I love it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's great.
That's our namesake. That's our namesake there. Atanite. Now, you want to discuss the name of this, Calypso?
Yes, so I was
Go on.
confused. So this episode is called The Ark, and it is a giant ship. It's an Ark ship. I thought they were calling it the Atanite throughout the entire episode, and my brain just couldn't
Yeah.
process that it's the name of the ship.
Yes.
Like that's like the Titanic, only it's the
Yeah.
Atanite. So that's a baller name for a ship, and the fact that it's a giant friggin' dragon, like. So dragons do exist in this universe.
Yes.
I expect we will be seeing lots of cool Elric, Game of Thrones dragon stuff later on down the line. It's the what I hear in my notes. I have the Ark. It's the most metal, like heavy metal, horrifying, like ship of Theseus that I've ever seen. Because
I
it's
feel
a
like
giant
Death
dragon
Clock
boat.
should be performing on the front.
Totally. Yeah, it's absolutely a freaking metal dragon. It's awesome. Dragons are part of this universe. Game of Thrones, Elric is what I wrote. And then this is Amarax's personal Uber because this is
you gotta
his
love the
personal
fact
ship.
that he mentions like, is it made of real dragon? And yeah, it's like you killed a dragon. It's like, how'd you do that? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
How do you not remember that? It's in a
lore stone somewhere.
I
wrote it down, so I left a voicemail to myself somewhere about it.
No, here's the funny part. People were asking about the name. Break down the name, Calypso. It makes sense.
So Atanite. So I mean, like, I can't break it down.
We've got our first lore expanding pieces here. It's the Atanite because it's made from something from Atan.
Oh, that's right. Dragons are from Atan. Okay, yeah. Totally missed that.
The Atanite because it's also made with that other crazy ass material.
Yes, that Ivitanium. Is it Ivitanium? Unobtainium, adamantium. Pick your fantasy metal, folks. Go ahead.
It's the whole ship made out of that. No, that would be prohibitively expensive.
Yes. No, that would cost budget.
The hull was not budget. The hull was not rod of wood, but an intermingling of bone and stone.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Bones themselves. Here's massive size of the hull was each flanked by what appeared to be ribs and ran from gunwale to stern, and the masts too were skeletal in construct. But stranger still was that they seemed to have fallen to either side of the vessel, so that its sails spread as wings.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It looks so awesome. Alaric goes below and we get more detail of how it's almost like a giant floating temple on the inside. And it's bone and stone and everything. So it's like each deck, and each deck is a different, thing. There's he goes down below and he ends up in the tithe hold because things are built and things are traded, and their currency essentially is tithes or
that's what he mentions in the thing. It's like you have currency. He's like, we trade in tithes. He says, you mean humans? He's like, irrelevant. Not the point. Not that.
So there's the tithe hold is like the bottom deck, I guess. And then I love that when he goes down there is a shade. Like there's some green magic that comes out from.
Oh wait, hold on.
Prism.
We need to get to that bit. And he goes, I felt the lich urging me further down the stairs, so I continued my descent in a blur of speed until the stairs ended. Is this the tithe hold? You've gone too far.
Yeah.
I stood on the deck where many chains and manacles dangled above stones soaked in deep dark red. I think hanging from the ceiling and all. The scent of dead blood curdled my own.
Which makes you wonder. Which makes you wonder is does Amarax keep just bodies hanging there in the tithe hold so you can draw their power from, or is it a wraith thing? Did the wraiths help build these? Because chains are a wraith thing, I think, in my mind, right?
So here's what he says at the start. He says that this is how Deadhaus travels the etheric sea. There are many of these arcs. They're all obviously different, but there's many of these.
See them later.
is the tithe hold, and it smells, but there doesn't seem to be anything in there because Alaric detected nothing. There's just chains stuck to stones and all like that. So if it's empty, but it has the capability of being full, so there's plenty of space for stuff, that would suggest that Amarax does ferry tithes from one point to another for various reasons. We don't know.
Yeah.
Personal, like you said, to drain for magic. Maybe he has to bring stuff to the Darklight Enclave, to the raids.
Yeah,
like,
it could be.
He does do stuff and move things.
Yeah, it's
Now
almost
that
like
explains how the cage got to the ghouls and stuff like that. It's not like Amarax literally picked it up and carried it. We throw it into the etheric sea. It'll land on the ark. We move it to another place, and we come out of the etheric sea at another part. So they're basically wormhole dimension hopping through an alternate version of reality, or the space between.
The space between. Something. Oh crap! I had another idea.
A sickly green light flickered in the corner.
Oh yes, the shade.
Just as I was turning to ascend the stairwell, a streak of sickly green light flitted from the corner. With no reaction from my blood, I did not flinch or flee, but stood and watched as a strange, glowing creature floated toward me and began to orbit my left hand. It was not much larger than my fist and appeared as a luminous veil of pale green. Within the translucent veil, a strange impression of a visage stared blankly. A pair of large, empty eyes above a warped mouth that emitted a small sigh. Should I be concerned about this thing? I asked, moving my left hand here and there and watching the creature follow.
It's just a shade, a lesser manifestation of the necrotic aspect.
Well, what does it want?
It's drawn to magic of its aspect, the soul prism.
Oh? I opened my left hand, presenting the prism. Do you want this, little shade? The shade gave no answer, but continued to orbit the dark green gem.
Don't talk to it.
Don't talk to it.
Yeah,
like, that was
don't
brilliant.
talk
It's
to
like
it.
it's a mindless expression of magic.
No, I love it. Like when Alaric starts to name it.
Why
he's
does
like,
it
"Oh,
want
no,
this
he's
then?"
named it. Yeah.
He's like, what does it want this then? It doesn't want in the way you do. It's like it reacts. It's like
no,
Amarax explained to Alaric. It's like, oh my god, he's a moron.
Yeah, no, I gotta say the annoyance in Joey is perfect in this. He's so good in this role, and he's just so frustrated. Imagine, dude. It's almost like you're starting a new job. Alaric is the new employee at a job, and he's constantly asking questions. And the dude who's his trainer already knows everything and expects the other dude to know everything right off the bat also. Hey man, it's my first day, I'm still learning. That doesn't matter, I expect you to know everything, is the dynamic I feel between them sometimes.
It's absolutely hilarious. I love it.
Yes, I have in my...
It's very much a case of, oh my god, this guy's a moron. Let me get this.
Amarax gets upset for talking to the shade like a little pet I have up here, and then he comes across. He keeps going up the decks now, and he comes across a deck holding a bunch of sarcophagi, which is just a holding cell. He opens a sarcophagi with some green essence and magic, puts the prison inside of a headdress or something, as the instructions have, and then, long story short, he raises Amarax into a new body. But there is a fun little interaction here where Amarax is like, now put your hands where the eyes were, by its eyes, and then Alaric is like, but there are no eyes, and he's like, you know what I mean, man, just put it where the eyes are.
Put it where the eyes used to be.
Yeah, it's
like you could see if he was in a physical manifestation, that's a face palm moment. He's like,
yeah. So Amarax gets a new body after that. So we figure that the sarcophagus holding area is just his personal backup storage of bodies to respawn into.
Here's some spare bodies, just in case.
Yeah. And then we get a sort of pretty quite long argument between the two, and philosophizing about Alaric still being a phylactery.
Here was a very important moment, actually. So what we've got, 1344. Hold on. right? So he's doing as he said. For a moment, I was looking up at myself as if through the eyes of a desiccated corpse, he said, and what I saw was a monster. This is the first time Alaric has seen himself. I shall not speak of it.
I missed that
my
part.
own vision
That's
returned
crazy.
to me. The corpse began to stir. He saw himself for the first time as Alaric the Damned, and he was horrified by what he saw. Because the entire time, Alaric has been fighting what he has become. He doesn't want to be a vampire. He doesn't want to be this, because in the very first radio play, you see where they come across a vampire. They're hunting a vampire, and he is absolutely horrified by what he has seen. Here's Mr. Newbody right here.
Game mechanic: liches keep bodies stored that when rezzing with them gives different stats and such. Oh yeah, that'd be a cool mechanic. I would actually like to see maybe the bodies for a lich could be a checkpoint system or a save point system, where if you have a backup body in your lair, then you respawn in your lair. But if you don't have a backup body in your lair, then you go into the ethereal plane.
We've let it get ahead of ourselves. So
we have
Alaric decides that he wants to destroy Amarax.
Yes.
And he tries to fight him. He grabs him. He tries to squeeze the bones. He feels them cracking as the lich laughs and explodes into flies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's such a great visual. The shockwave collided with an unseen barrier, illuminating briefly. Yeah. And he turns into flies. And then there's a prophecy mentioned. Oh, yeah, we get that prophecy and then Alaric is actually surprised that Amarax knows the prophecy now, and then Amarax comes back with I'm an arc lich, or I'm a lich. Not all magic to me is
magic will defy me forever.
Yeah. So he eventually gets through those mental roadblocks and is able to learn the prophecy and what it is. And then we get some philosophizing and philosophy surprising Alaric. There's a line that says, "You will know in time," which is a bit of a callback to Blood.
Yeah. So he goes at this. They have their fight, and Amarax convinces him, "What the hell are you going to do?" And then this is the one here. He says, "I could help you, Alaric."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why are you fighting me? Like, I could help you, Alaric. He says, "You wish me to believe you could stop the messenger. That would require more preparation and resources than I have time to acquire." Because he basically says to him, "But I know one who could protect you." Because he basically says, "What was your goal? Were you just going to wander around Malorum until the messenger comes back? What was your plan?" And he's like, do you even know how to get out of the Etheric Sea?
Mm-hmm.
Do you even know where you are?
What are you going to do?
Where are you going to...
You go alone. You're just going to turn into the gold, man. In time. Yeah.
I could help you, Alaric.
You wish me to believe you could stop the messenger?
That would require more preparation and resources than I have the time to acquire. But I know one who could protect you.
Who?
You will know in time.
In time, Sirrah. Yes, time. Unless you master it, it will master you.
If you cease this mindless squabble.
Mindless squabble? You invade my mind by force. You take from me my very soul.
I am protecting my investment.
Do not think to tell me that you are my benefactor again.
Do you wish to face the messenger alone? Do you even know when it's coming?
When the serpent swallows the seed. When the fountain swallows the sun.
And what does that mean?
I don't know. Some kind of prophecy.
So what is your plan? To roam about Malorum, evading the Darklight Enclave until the messenger returns at some point?
I don't know yet.
Do you even know how to find your way back to Malorum from the Etheric Sea? Either way, I assure you, it can find you here.
I said nothing. It was clear that the Lich had the upper hand.
You must swear a pale oath.
Yes, so I was going to get to that. So we get the Pale Oath, and Alaric has to swear a piece of himself to Amarax, so Amarax can always regenerate. So he's essentially a permanent storage unit for
He's
phylactery.
agreeing to be a permanent
phylactery for Amarax, so he can always come back. And the oath I have it written down here is
well, we'll get it up. We have it on the screen.
Oh,
It's like
yeah,
it'll
that's
bind you to your
true.
word. This is
So-
the ritual. What is your word? You go on. I'll put it up here.
I
You will
was gonna
serve me
say
by
that,
granting shelter to a piece of
I
my
want to
soul.
say that the Pale Oath is I'm just reaching here from my own book knowledge and stuff. It's a total Harry Potter thing, and or Blood Oath from every other fantasy universe
It's
ever, right?
it's a blood oath. It's not
Yeah.
Harry Potter. It's
So-
long before that.
Well,
This
we'll
is
get.
the
I know.
old
Well,
school
we'll get to that.
fantasy.
We'll get to that. So in Harry Potter, there's a thing called the Unbreakable Vow, and and the Unbreakable Vow is you bind your souls together, and then the person you make the vow to, or the person who promises to make the vow, has to fulfill a certain task and cannot go against the vow holder, or they will die. And it's literally swearing on your life to do X or Y thing,
It's
right?
basically like, when a knight swears an
Yeah,
oath to their
exactly.
sire, to their king or whatever.
So the Pale Oath is essentially a Harry Potter Unbreakable Vow, is the way I put it. But of course, we've
I
had
would've
Blood
went
Oaths
to
and shit forever.
blood oath.
Blood
But
Oath,
we'd have to
yeah.
have a pale oath, because if you remember with the banshees and all what they follow is the pale doctrine.
Yes.
So this is where we go with this. I like this. He says you can do this. You can burn one. Go give yourself to the gold. Burn one monster out of the world instead of the thousands you could if you served me. I love this next bit. Then he says, "The Awakened." He says, "You once swore that you would bear any price for Thacia. I would like to think my company a small price for its vengeance. The Lich was manipulating me, and then I love this, using my words against me, bending my wants to serve his own." He says maybe he did talk the dragon into giving up its bones.
Jeez, Amrax is the best gaslighter ever.
Yeah. The world is beginning to
Okay,
sprawl
here we
across
go.
my
So yeah,
vision.
the Pale Oath is so cool, man.
You need only say the words.
May words to will be by the weaver bound, my troth avowed upon my blackened soul. May justice swift for oath transgress be found, and bear me to the weaver as my toll.
Again, the Weaver. So you are basically swearing upon your god.
I, Alaric the Damned, swear that I shall serve as vessel for the Arch-Lich Amarax, and seek no means by which to sever this binding until such time as he sees fit to release me.
Which,
And then,
again, I don't think he would, because there's no benefit to that.
Oh
But
yeah,
then
no,
again,
he totally wouldn't. But I don't
in
know.
regards to
have a change of
Alaric,
character.
in regards to Alaric, it's not like, bar him being annoyed by it, it's no skin off his nose, so to speak. Because, like,
Oh yeah,
what's he going to
absolutely.
do? He's going to go whenever him and Alaric and Amarax part ways, and they go do their own thing. All he needs to do is, every now and again, when it hits the fan, he just needs to go grab a thing, bring some other thing to another place, put Amarax back in a new body, and then go back home. That's
I wonder if there is
Here we
Mortis,
go. Here,
Mortis
me-
says something to me. The Pale Oath is through Alalmat and probably a lot harder to break than the HP vow. Yeah, and I think in Harry Potter, the Unbreakable Vow, the only way to like free yourself from it without doing the vow is someone else has to stop one party from the vow. So spoilers, I guess, for Harry Potter.
There's two
Dumbledore
parts to that.
and Grindelwald have an unbreakable vow, and the only way that vow can be broken is someone else has to stop one of the other party members. That's it.
No, here's the funny part there. Bishop says, just because Alaric may not seek to break it doesn't mean something else might try. Here's the problem. All blood oaths end in death. They're both already dead.
Yes.
This is forever.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great little thing here right after this is Alaric gets the sign of Deadhaus.
We'll let that play.
As I spoke the last of the oath, A sensation like cold and burning spread across the back of my left hand. And when I looked down, I saw the mark of a lalmut upon it in pale green light.
And I think that is the literal bit of soul from Amarax. Like, there's no way to.
Oh no, I thought that was
out.
just that was a sign of his promise that he has sworn.
Oh, I mean,
to
that
like,
too.
that's him being marked
Yeah, that could
as
be
a
it
reminder.
too. Like the black spot from Pirates or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But
like
I mean, it could
you
also
marked.
be the actual part of Amarax's soul. Who knows? Just
That's
me
the green
theorizing
glowy,
there.
That's the green
Yeah.
glowy part in it. That's why it glows.
Entered my hand and blah blah blah. Mark of the vow. Yeah, the mark of the vow. That's so cool.
That's a sensation like cold.
But see, is it always glowing, or does it glow just for that 1 second? You know, does it just glow for a little bit, or is it always?
I'd
glowing?
say it's reactive to magic,
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like a weird black light that only those that can see it. So, like to other people, it'll be unnoticeable, but the vampires and the dead, they'll be able to see it. You know?
Yeah.
For those
have
who
your-
have eyes
Do you have
to
your
see.
wristband?
Let
Do
me
you have
back
your
in. Look,
valve?
I got the mark.
I got the vow, man. Let me back in. I haven't gone over my 2-drink limit. Very least, other liches will be able to see it. Yeah, totally.
Oh, definitely. I think only the dead can see it. Only Deadhaus will be able to see it. Or maybe if the other ones can like perceive necrotic magic, maybe. Which is another thing that gets brought up in this, which I find fascinating.
Then we go over the riddle again, and Amarax points out that it's an astrological table, and I didn't write any of that stuff down.
Now, when the serpent swallows the seed, when the fountain swallows the sun, this is an astrological timetable.
Astrological timetable. He basically gave him a date and time.
Hey, you know, your time is up when this
I'll be back
happens.
next Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds a lot cooler when you start giving astrological signs.
Right? Please meet me when the sun touches the horizon. What? 12 o'clock, dude?
The fountain and the seed are of the zodiac, but the serpent?
Another name for Coluber.
Then
the sun passes through the sign of the fountain in the month of Hiem. On the 15th night, Coluber will darken the sign of the seed, and the messenger will return.
Of course. I remembered it then. My astrology was rusty, but the symbol for Coluber looked like a serpent. And what then?
Leave that to me. For now, we must make haste to the main deck. Leave the wisp below.
Fuck,
he said when he comes back, he says, and then what? What then? He's like, leave that to me.
Then we actually steer the ship. Now we have to steer the giant ark because they have to get to a destination. And it's so cool, dude. This is probably one of my favorite parts, like towards later on when Alaric is steering the ship. We'll get to that in a sec. So Amarax moves the ark, and it moves by attaching to a black obelisk.
It's a giant obelisk. He says about 3/4 the height of a human. And Amarax basically goes over and puts his 2 hands around it like this. And from the description, it's then like he possesses the ship.
Yes.
And he's moving it like he
or that
is
they
the
like
ship.
merge into one. Yeah, dude. Oh, it's so wild. I'm trying to remember. I'm Googling what the blackest black color is because that is what I pictured immediately. There's a
Black?
new.
Obsidian?
Is it Vanta Black?
I want to say
it might be Vanta Black. It's like the darkest black ever made ever, and it almost doesn't look real. You put it on a wall and it's like it's literally bending space.
Vanta
Black,
it's
Vanta Black, yeah. So I pictured this obelisk. I pictured the temple that we'll get to later as Vanta Black. Like all of that was just Vanta Black in my brain.
That's
like,
what I imagine that type
image.
of stone is. The obelisk.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That type of stone. But they emanate green when the magic. It's because they're the necrotic.
Yeah.
I
so
love
now
this,
imagine that color with color coming out of it. It's so metal too.
He mentions the
metal.
chromatic lightning, and this is the fantastic part. So while the sea itself is without aspect, that there is bits of aspect magic that happen like lightning through it. And this is the first time where we actually get proper colors to the houses and their aspects.
Yes,
So the first
I
one,
wrote
he goes,
some of them
for
down, but I
example,
didn't write all of them
he's
down.
like red, psychic, which is, we know,
celestial is gold.
Yes, so that's how we know. But now we
psychic
know
is
that.
crimson. Yeah, now we know which houses
So
have the
we have
lights,
crimson,
right?
which is the awakened, which is red, and it is psychic. So here we go. First one, celestial, a column of gold fire. Amarax is like spilling these out.
Yeah.
And he describes to Alaric, he's like, how do you know this? He's like, well, as you are attuned to blood, I am attuned to magic. He explaining how the classes work. Psychic,
yeah, so
there
psychic
we go.
is red. And it's so cool because he's just pointing them out. He knows, he can sense when it's going to happen, I think, as well.
Yeah, because he's attuned to it.
He's
Now,
attuned to it.
Here's the fun part. We never knew what the names for these aspects were before. We do now, like Deadhaus, necrotic. That's necrotic magic. We've got the awakened psychic magic. We've got the Elsabaoth and all of those.
Celestial.
These are different magical aspects.
That's also, it also brings a good.
I'm attuned to the flows of magic. As you were attuned to the scent of blood.
It's also a good way of like, why is the gold called gold?
We knew in the last episode. I don't think so. I don't think it was ever mentioned that like Deadhaus was necrotic or that like the awakened was psychic. That was never outwardly explained. It said what the houses were, and we've seen the colors, but it never outwardly said it.
Yeah, they're like specific energies, like the specific energy tied to these houses. So psychic energy is crimson, and it's clearly tied to the awakened. Celestial is gold, probably why they're called
Nonary conflux. Yeah, but he mentions what they were, but he didn't mention the exact aspects of magic, did it?
I
need to go back and double check.
Yeah,
that.
We do. Probably should. I grow more frequent and more violent. Oh yeah, so then we get the cool like celestial storm, and they drive into it like a friggin' movie. You know, we're driving towards the tornado or whatever, which is super cool. Amarax can sense the aspects, making him the perfect magic pilot. Is what I wrote here.
Yep.
We have some more great banter of like, quick, you have to avoid it. And then Amarax is like, I just did.
You said we're about to have a cascade. So
yeah,
it's kind of like,
and then he asks Alaric to take the helm, and we get the coolest part of this episode. I swear. I know I say that about every minute of this, but Alaric driving the ship is awesome. Because he goes and he merges with the ship.
I don't know how to steer this thing. He's like, just keep it straight.
Yeah. So
don't
Alaric,
move it. Just keep it going straight.
I have Alaric sort of merges with the ship, becoming the ship, it seems, and he steers himself in a way as he steers the ship. He then kind of understands Amarax a bit more in how magic works and the ether, and he understands a bit more of the like ethereal plane. But something I noticed in this re-listen before this episode is that as he's steering the ship, it starts off with him, you know, talking like a regular, like he's regular Alaric. And then halfway through, he's talking completely differently, like he is the ship itself. So they totally merge consciousness. Like, like how there's a...
The ship also seems to be somewhat alive, because near the end of it, when Alaric is talking, he mentions at the start of this, I became the ship like I was holding it in my hand with a little Alaric sitting on its bow. So he shows that he can see through as the ship itself. And then he mentions to show that there is a certain consciousness to the ship when they mention where they're going, which we'll get to in a few minutes. He's like, I brought my master here before.
Yeah, I was
so the ship remembers it has been here. Alaric has no idea.
Do you think that the arcs are a nod to Greek mythology as well, like Charon and the boatman?
Probably. I don't know whether exactly Greek mythology, but I could definitely see it being a nod to Charon, the boatman. To like that's definitely it, because we are now being ferried to. Like, we're just going to say it here, is like to the great temple. And this is like the home of the dead, so to speak, or at least their capital or center, their universe or whatever.
Yes, then they fly towards the giant octahedron, the temple of Anumat, and they need to get an artifact for a quest.
I was listening and watching the chat during the live stream, and I think everyone collectively freaked out when
Yeah.
the temple turned out to be a giant octahedron in the most Lovecraftian nightmare ever.
Oh, dude,
It looked
that's where the
epic.
Hellraiser. It's the Leviathan, dude. It just totally gave me Leviathan vibes, man. Gave me Hellraiser vibes. It was awesome.
Fingers, and a flood of sensation washed through me. I will write it as I felt it. It was as if I held the Atanite in the palm of my hand. But at the same time, I held myself. Its bones were my bones, its stone my flesh. And Alaric the Damned was but an ornament upon my mighty back. Given my experiences with the Lich thus far, this sensation was not entirely foreign to me. And through it, I began to feel some small sense of understanding about Amarax. Whatever he was, it was like water. It had no form of its own, but merely took the shape of whatever it was poured into, just as I was now.
And he talks about going through the cascade, but again, you need to watch this to experience the cascade yourself.
Yeah,
because nothing
it's great.
we
The
say
sound
could
design is
ever-
great. Yeah.
Nothing we can ever say will justify the artwork that went into this.
Yeah, I'll put a little bit of it in post, but this is a lot of episode to go through, so not as
And
much as
the
normal.
link will be down below once this
Yes.
goes up on YouTube after the fact. And if you're listening on Spotify or anything else later on, you'll be able to check this out. If you go to YouTube and put in Deadhaus Sonata, or if you go to the website deadhaussonata.com, you'll be able to get links to all of it.
Oh, yes, there we go. My wings long dead. Creaked in the verse. So he's talking like he is the ship. I love it. It's so good. So then we get to the giant octahedron, and then we notice that other arcs are going in and out of the temple. So
There we go. Look, that
there's-
was the first
there's
one. I
other-
was wondering how many
Yeah.
people spotted this during the live stream, because if you notice,
Oh, is
right
there more?
here.
Is there others there? Oh, there is.
No,
Oh, wow, I
that's,
totally
that's
missed
it,
that.
but you could see it from a
Oh,
distance.
I
It's
missed that.
very stuck in the background. And then as we get further up close, and we have our little, we're not going to give away the whole farm. You need to go watch the episode, but
There,
there,
yeah, that's
when we end
so
up-
rad, dude. Now just imagine a giant Vanta black octahedron sort of
there's the shot right
distorting
there.
space. Yeah, dude. Oh, that's so
A way station
cool.
between realms. It's an artifact here we will need on our quest. Something a lot of people seem to have forgotten.
I
He
like
has to
that.
go-
We have a checklist here. Hello, it's marked on our mini map. We still have to get there. The tutorial's not over yet.
You've
been
been
6 hours.
distracted. You've been distracted by side missions. This is the
Yeah.
main quest. We've got a thing that we need to pick up.
Arcs go in and out of the temple. They cloak themselves. Do they cloak themselves sort of? Because
Yep,
they have to go in unnoticed.
that's what he does. He basically
Okay.
makes a nice little gesture with his hands and puts the hand down in the same way as they did with the conflux, with the hand down,
Mm-hmm.
and it made everything vanish. Go unnoticed as we approach the absolute black of the temple. I saw there were other arcs that came and went from it.
Yeah, I think that's so rad. That
I could not distinguish their
'cause
features
That's
from afar.
that's like my issue with media and like a bunch of media, like movies, TV shows, video games, is that books. I don't know if I said that. Is that you have these characters and they're the focal point of the story. So the world often always seems like it's literally revolving around them when there is still active people in this universe doing other things and going through here and going through that. You know what I mean? Like typical whatever. But here we see that there's other arcs going in and out of the temple. There's still activity going on apart from the focus on Alaric and Amarax and his journey. You know,
Yes.
so often does it just get lost in that these are the main characters and they're the only people who exist in this universe.
As they call
know.
small world syndrome.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And they say in here, he mentions like that the size of each one of the triangles was absolutely massive, that it makes the entire temple perhaps as tall as the world gate appears. Now, what you were saying there about small world syndrome, keep in mind, we go back a season. Alaric thought he was the most important thing in the world because he was working really hard and discovered this hidden technology to be able to experiment and make whites. And he was working for Thacia as the Grand Inquisitor for the Empire and all like that. And he has now learned that not only is the human empire a speck on existence, but even the existence on Malorum is but a speck to what is happening between realities.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, it's showing how insignificantly small even the most grand of us perceive ourselves to be. That is what's phenomenal about this.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I think everyone realized how big the universe that's being created is.
Oh yeah. Fun little exercise for everybody. If you can think of media that doesn't have small world syndrome, please mention it, because I would love to know.
It's very few.
Yeah, it's very few. It's weird, right? Like I understand you have main characters you have to focus on, but I would love, expansion, a literal expansion of the universe that shows that there's other things going on. Like I was recently, I think I reread the first Game of Thrones a couple years ago, and yes, we focus on the Stark family, but there is so much small, insignificant, nitpicky details within those books that make the world feel alive. Like, even though we're focused on the Starks, we believe that this world exists because of all the insignificant.
That's the funny part. That's one of the biggest sins of Star Wars, is that it's basically the Skywalker family. The whole universe.
Yeah, exactly.
The
like,
Skywalker
you have this
family.
huge universe, but it mostly focuses on Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then we have the expanded universe, which is just crumbling before our eyes. Anyways, so we get inside the Ark. Not the Ark. We get inside the Temple of
Anumat.
And it's Alaric enters the temple and notices it's made of one giant piece of Ivitanium, which is the magical stone of this universe.
Yeah, it perceives to look like it's carved from one giant piece of Ivitanium.
Alaric
says there, you should travel as mist.
Yes.
It'll cloak you from notice. It's like, time to go finish the tutorial, young Alaric.
Yeah.
How do I do it? Remember the way I did it when you were my only vessel.
To look around. Look around.
For fuck's sake.
Jump if you wish to jump. Crouch to go lower. To look around, look around.
This is not cool.
Alaric comes across a room. Nope, that's the ending. Alaric enters the temple and notices, find lore stones. He finds a lore stone room. And I wrote, it's almost as endless as far as the eye can see. But
now, here's the question.
Is
this where they went in of Banshees?
Is this what?
Is this where they went in of Banshees?
Oh, no, I don't think
remember
so.
He said we went underground, and the ghouls told him, no, you went to a different place. And Alaric couldn't comprehend. He's like, I didn't go to a different place. I could breathe. And blah, blah, blah. Like,
did they go to a lore? No, there was water and stuff. There was not water. There was the...
It would explain how other intruders get there.
Yeah, but
surely
that's
there
a
is
good
a
question.
lore stone that gets here. There has to be a lore stone, a gate stone, a gateway.
I need to listen to the Banshee one again, because I don't remember. Does Alaric describe that there's a bunch of lore stones and crap around without knowing about lore stones?
He does describe a dark place with no light, like this here, but it doesn't affect.
Maybe it was a room. Maybe it was just one of the rooms.
Yeah.
Or the Banshee plane. Was it the Banshee plane, maybe?
But the Banshees would be in Anumat.
Oh, that's also true. That's a good question, as Dennis would say.
Has he been here before?
He
was guided around the hallways. So this is basically the history, and he's bragging like this is a forest of history, and like it's all a forest of secrets, and I know one of them. And here's your Hellraiser moment.
Yes, here's my Hellraiser moment. I love this. I love every single piece of this. I thought it was great. Alaric comes across a room of horror, he says. Bodies flayed and all of them almost stuffed into ornaments the walls.
Along the temple wall, flayed and broken, a tangled mess of trespassers.
Wraiths too must feed
against the Ivitanium to which they had been interwoven.
Yeah.
And so it seemed that the walls were alive and writhing in agony, and they sang softly with subdued moans of the mutilated.
Yeah, dude, that's so wild. So are they still alive?
Deadhaus.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. They awakened, they may serve different gods, but they are all monsters. To which Amarak says, wraiths too must feed.
See, I thought this was a wraith room, because like they flayed their beings, and there's a map there also.
This is the bit now, another nod back to anyone. If you've read the Necro, this is the Seven Sons in Twilight, where it mentions the map and the dais.
Oh, were they in this room? Oh man, I should probably do an overview of that for this episode.
Yeah.
Amrak says wraiths too must feed. So is it wraiths who killed these bodies?
They're not dead.
I know.
Don't forget,
they're not
wraiths.
dead. That's right. They're
Wraiths
not dead.
feed on suffering.
So is it wraiths who kill them? Because I think Dennis said in the after chat, like intruders automatically get like destroyed, or
Well, that's what they do with them. The wraiths will have seen.
So are the wraiths the guardians, or is the temple alive and like sucks them into the walls?
That very interesting point.
Yeah, that was just a thought that came to my brain. Like, is the temple alive? Maybe, and wraiths are like another thing.
Whose surface was marked with each territories of Isoth, each holding several distinct carving. There's the maps there now.
In the center of the room, a giant map of Malorum is what I have here.
In grey and dampening the Bedlands. We're trying to avoid attention.
Oh yes, and Alaric gets super pissed. And then we get the what's the attack? The blood shower attack from Blood Omen from Alaric.
Oh, to bathe in the blood of others. This spell is especially useful in the face of multiple combatants. Beware those with tainted blood.
As he super feeds on all of these bodies, and he just inhales everything around him.
He didn't think that's what he was doing, though. He
didn't think that's what he was doing. Yeah,
to pull them out of the wall.
Yeah,
but his body had something else in mind, and his blood wanted blood. So he literally ripped the blood from all of them and fed in an ever engulfing. Again, you need to listen to the episode because we cannot eloquently put it half as well as it has been written, and how George very beautifully describes it.
Yeah, it's so good. Great job, George.
And it's just a description here. He pulled in
properly, pulling the mist into what would become my mouth until I stood upon the table in physical form. Then I reached forward, straining as I had in the etheric sea when I reached for the lantern and prism. My blood roiled, surging with the powers that rushed out of me. I could feel bodies in the wall, feel them pulling toward me, but there were so many. They were so heavy. My arm trembled as I struggled. More power welled up from within. I could see their limbs pulled toward me. And then I realized, in a moment of inescapable horror, that it wasn't their bodies that I was pulling free. Streams of blood burst from their exposed muscles, from their eyes, from mouths whose screams were strangled. The blood flowed as winding rivers, racing toward me, past my outstretched hand. I opened my mouth to shout, to scream, to refuse what I was seeing, and the blood rushed into it. There was no stopping it. It flowed into me. Not like the blood of animals upon which I had fed thus far, but something beyond words to capture. It was everything I had ever wanted. Everything I ever could want. For all other wants were made meaningless in the depths of its burning ecstasy. In an instant, my agony and horror were abolished. I forgot the terrible mural. I forgot the pale oath that bound me to my tormentor. I forgot even Thacia herself. I knew only that my singular purpose was to drink and never stop. To drown in blood. The blood within me stormed and swirled in the violence of its intermingling with mortal blood. I fell to my knees, arms still outstretched, until the last crimson droplets came to me and were devoured. As I fell forward, catching myself on the table with an oath-marked hand, blood spilled from my mouth upon the Beltlands, upon Bella. And there, crumpled in the temple of Anumat, lost in a storm of magic, in a sea of boundless grey, I felt a part of who I was slip away. From that emptiness of being, something else came forth. Something greater than that which was. Something far darker. Alaric the Damned.
There you go. That absolutely beautiful. That was
so good.
You need to listen to that because we will never do it justice. But wow, that is it. Like the Alaric is now a real vampire. This was his first hit. And he set off the alarms because he just stole all the Wraith's food.
Oh, yes, he did. Tutorial over. Congrats, you passed the tutorial. Start a new game? No.
That's the Dark Souls bit. Here's a sword. Now go kill God.
Yeah. No, there's this calls back to, we don't know the vampire blood that Alaric got, right? We don't know whose it was or what kind of vampire it was or anything. But I think him unconsciously casting that spell or using his telekinesis for the blood or whatever.
That was definitely exsanguinate.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about exsanguinate. Is that the blood being so powerful that was able to do that, or was that just Alaric's subconscious need to want to feed, even though he's been fighting it this whole time? Maybe a bit of both. Like, is Alaric unknowingly one of the most powerful vampires out there, or is he just a regular vampire? Is he like not a chosen one, but is he just a super powerful vampire without knowing it? I guess I just said the same thing twice. Yeah, and he loses some of his humanity, which is wild, man.
I love the eloquence. What is it on that table?
Beller, yeah, dude.
In a sea of storms. What is it in a temple surrounded by storms in a sea of gray? Mm-hmm. The last bit of who he was slipped away. That was beautiful. His bloodline may be powerful.
Oh, that could be it too. Yeah,
that's it. That's the one. I think there has to be something with that, because 2 or 3 times Amarax mentions you shouldn't have had this much magic in your blood. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have this. It was clearly. I don't see Dennis and the guys doing a chosen one scenario.
No, not a chosen one scenario, but
I do think he's probably not like the average vampire. He's not just like a random turned undead. Mm-hmm. He's definitely, there's something about Alaric. There's something about Alaric. He's definitely more. Anyway, I just love this shot of the eye.
It's great. It's wallpaper.
Because there was he should feel regret. He is regretful. He knows he didn't want this, but he couldn't feel any better because of the way it is, because of the feeding. This is all he'd ever wanted.
Now, the thing is, after this feed, this massive feed, not just like a body, multiple bodies, maybe even hundreds of bodies.
Oh, that's definitely the blood meter filled the cap anyway.
Oh, that's absolutely. So after this, is he still going to be squeamish or caring, or is he just going to be typical vampire nonchalance? Yeah, whatever. Throw him away.
I have a feeling if you throw him back in that cage with the ghouls, he's not going to spare that dude this time. I don't think that happens anymore. I don't think human Alaric is the way he is anymore. I think, as he pointed out at the start of the series, Alaric von Beller's dead.
Yeah, but
he's still
trying to grasp on his humanities. But now it's like he lost a bit of that. But is it fully gone, or is there still some humanity left? Did he just lose a shred? If there's 5 points of humanity, did he lose a shred of humanity, just one? And he still has 4 more to go, or what?
The other part is, does it matter? Because as he said, he felt a part of him who slipped away, but what came over him was much darker. Absolutely amazing. There's no better way to put that, because that was phenomenal.
It's great. It's good.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we are on this one for this story. We want to hear everyone else's opinions, by the way. What is Alaric? He's clearly not just a vampire. What is he? What are they looking for? They're on a quest. Everyone keeps forgetting this. They're on a quest. What are they doing there? You see, Alaric has gotten sidetracked with feeding.
Right. They have to get an item for their quest.
And whose quest? Does Amarax need to do something? Are they on a quest for someone else? Is it something that he's going to use to kill the messenger? What? There's a reason they were doing this. Amarax has been planning this the whole time. There was the point of the nonary conflux to go into the realm of the etheric sea, to go a bit further to get to this temple, to get a thing. This is all long planning. Alaric's bumbling about has sidetracked them, and it looks like that this is the main story. But Amarax has another goal.
Is this all a plan to try and stop Deadhaus outright? Just destroy Deadhaus? Because if I remember, Amarax has no care for Deadhaus. Alaric wants to destroy
would he
Deadhaus.
bother trying to destroy it though? Because we keep in mind where we go. Alaric found Amarax. Amarac's like, okay, I'll tell you what you want, but I need you to go and get the thing. He goes underground to get the thing, aka the soul prism, right?
Yeah.
Why did we need the soul prism? You see, this is why. And we create a hole in the ground to be able to go into the etheric sea. Now, we also use it to put Amarax back in his body, but he didn't know that when he sent him.
No.
Or did he? Did he knew he would be destroyed?
I mean, he's an Arc Lich, so I would imagine he knows all of that stuff.
Yeah. So we do that, and then Amarax needed to get them without using a waystone, because obviously the waystone that went there would have been prohibitive to him, because if the Dark Light Enclave are watching, clearly the first thing they're doing is watching the waystones, right?
Yes.
So he's dodging the Dark Light Enclave to secretly get to the etheric sea, to secretly get to Anuma. For what? He has an agenda. There is something he needs, and for what purpose? That's what I'm dying to know.
Something occurred to me is, do you think Alaric, apart from the blood in his body, is powerful because he was old when he got turned?
Nah, I think your human body's irrelevant. Okay. I think it's more got to do with
just a thought. Like, you're old, you have life, you have literal life experience. Does that translate to life experience?
I don't believe the wisp is for light. No, there was something else for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was for, but there was something. He had to bring the wisp.
So maybe, I mean, we'll obviously find out what we need, why we need those tools.
There we go. Timer. Irrelevant. This is following me. Irrelevant. Why is that? Irrelevant. I love that. That's going to be the infinitely quotable line for Amarax. Like we've got ones from all the rest of them, so this is definitely the one for that. I definitely think, though, it's like Mortis mentioned here. He said his bloodline may be powerful. That could be more likely than his body.
Oh, the wisp is probably because of the aspect of magic. Yeah. Do you need one of each aspect?
Was the wisp the necrotic one, or was it something else?
No, I think the wisp was magic, blue. Amarax is green, and then Alaric is red.
So no, Alaric isn't red. Alaric's not red. They're all green because green is necrotic. Red would be true. The awakened. It was basically earth-based. Yes, he's right. That's why he had to turn into the tree to attract it. Primordial. There we go. Yeah. You see, now we're getting
ancient
somewhere.
To enter, you know.
There we go.
Gosh, when's the next episode? 2 months from now? Jesus, man.
It'll be worth the wait. Which is something we probably don't get in the etheric sea. That's true. That's true, Bishop.
Yeah.
Yet again, more to hypothesize. We'll have to sit and have a think on this and come back.
Yeah, but see. Oh wait, no. I was going to ask. Well, what about time? What's the time difference like in the ethereal? But I mean, it could be 4 days. Like they traveled for 5 minutes, and it's really 4 days in.
Well, that's time. The question. Maybe no time passes. Maybe an eternity passes. Who knows? Is it a minute, a day, a week, a month, a year?
Could be like 5 seconds. Fun. There's a book series. Dennis recommended it. It's called the Necroscope. Yes. Necroscope book series. It's probably the best vampires ever written in book form.
It's a sci-fi vampire thingy, right?
Yeah. It's like weird. It's weird Lovecraft plus modern day Cold War plus vampire stuff. It's wild, dude. But the main character can teleport, and when he teleports, we see it as like a blip, like he's just going from blip to blip. What he's actually doing is literally opening up a spectral door that he can see with like super advanced math. Like if you know multiplication tables well enough, you can open a freaking door to another dimension, and he walks through, and it takes him some time to walk through. But in our time, it's literally just blink and you're there. You know, there's a fight scene where he's teleporting all over the battlefield. So he's literally just opening up a door, walking through it, you know, just, okay, now I'm there. And then he's opening up another door, walking through it. And then he's there. And it's crazy how like time works in the the Mobius continuum is what it's called. The plane for math is called the Mobius continuum.
Makes sense. I like it.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great stuff. You guys should read those books. Necroscope, read it.
And I definitely think that's where we're going to have to leave it there today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was another good episode.
That was so good. I have no other words for it, really, to be honest with you. It was just incredible. Like, anything we could add would be detracting for it. Again, if you're listening to this on Spotify or anything, you can also find these radio plays on Spotify. You just go search up Deadhaus Sonata. You'll find them under the Chronicles of the Grand Inquisitor. This was the episode, The Ark. All you have to do is go to YouTube. You can go check it out there. You'll also be able to check it out on deadhaussonata.com. And speaking of which, we can do the obligatory shilling now, Calypso. So you can check out the game officially.
So yes, you can follow everything Deadhaus Sonata related at deadhaussonata.com. That's Deadhaus Sonata.com. You can follow Deadhaus officially on Twitter at Deadhaus Game. You can follow
us.
Yes, you can follow us, Deadhaus Whispers, on Twitter at Deadhaus Whispers. You can follow us on Twitch at Deadhaus Whispers. You can
on Instagram, on the YouTube
Instagram at Deadhaus Whispers, and on YouTube at Deadhaus Whispers. Spoiler alert: everything is at Deadhaus Whispers. You can follow Faceless Mike at the Faceless Mike on Twitter, on Twitch as well, and you can follow me, Calypso, on YouTube at Calypso694 or on Twitter at Necrolibriatas.
Very impressive, sir. You have got your shilling down to a professional level. To a professional level.
Don't also forget to check out our Patreon.
We should set one of those up.
We should set up a Patreon. Please feel free to donate $1 for a coffee, folks.
But yeah, I'm over the moon with that episode. The community response is amazing. Everyone's really excited for the next one because I think we're starting to lean heavy into the story of showing how big the world is of Deadhaus. That it's not just like, oh, it's a bunch of dead zombies fighting a bunch of humans between two castles. No, this is like serious universe building. And I think that's starting to manifest itself with everyone. They're like, wow, this is incredible. Can't wait to see what's coming up next.
Yeah, me either. Bring it on, guys. Hurry up. Chop, chop. All right. With all that said, I've been Calypso, Faceless Mike, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Thank you. Much appreciation from us, yes, for listening to Deadhaus Whispers.
Ah, yes, thank you for listening to Deadhaus Whispers with Faceless Mike and Calypso. They're lovely people. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll find you.
Hello, fellow fans of Deadhaus. Follow Deadhaus Whispers, or else.
From the creator of Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness, Deadhaus Sonata is a narrative-driven action RPG in which you take the role of the undead and fight against the living. Visit us at www.deadhaussonata.com for updates on development. That's Deadhaus Sonata.com.